Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today I have John Weisberg with us. He's the co-founder and chief connection officer for A to Z Travel Concierge. So welcome to the show, John.
Hey, Tyler, glad to be here. Definitely excited to talk to you a little bit more about some travel.
Yes, I'm excited for that as well. And thank you again for joining us. And we'll dive into the first one, John. The first one I have for you is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
That's a good question, Tyler. The last year I've been through a lot, and I actually I had the courage to leave my full-time job a year ago. Had a loss in the family, which really had a big impact on me, and really reevaluating what's my passion and what do I want to do. Next step, and I decided, I knew my passion was in travel and entrepreneurship, so I took the big plunge into entrepreneurship. It's been very challenging, and it's involved a lot of frustration, just because, as you know, being an entrepreneur is not easy. But I've never been more excited about what I do and more confident in my future. And I realized sometimes you have to take a leap of faith and get out of a bad situation, even if it scares you.
And what's the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Well, within travel, there's definitely a lot of tools and tips that can help you. But I would say definitely do your research well in advance of your trip, and definitely work with a travel professional, someone who knows the areas, who can give you some tips on where to go, how to save money, and make the best out of your trip, whether it's last minute or well in advance.
And what is your best piece of overall business advice? So not necessarily industry specific.
Sure. So I'm big into sports. So I always like to do relate business and sports. And both business and sports, in my mind, are a combination of skill and luck. The more you practice and own your skills, the luckier you get. So definitely stick to it.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
The dangers of credit card and what compounding interest do. If I knew how to better invest, not only in myself, but just invest financially, and the power of patience, I'd probably be a lot better off financially.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
So this revolves around our new business, which is Live Rich and Prosper. It's a part of A to Z Travel, and we created an acronym that's really about living, overall happiness and living a rich life. And it's R is reaching your peak health and performance. I is inspiration in your passions. C is better communicating and connecting with others. And then H, which is the cornerstone of Live Rich and Prosper, is helping others.
And in what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
Sure. When I was in high school, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And this had a huge impact on me. From the first time I read this in high school, my views of entrepreneurship and really working for yourself versus someone else changed. Because I grew up from my parents, and I love them to death. But with the adage, you have to go to college to get a good job, and that's the way you're going to succeed. And honestly, I don't think I'd be where I am now in pursuing my dream business if it weren't for this book.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
So I got this quote from a famous philosopher in his own mind, my dad. He always told me, the world is full of C students. Don't be one of them. And really, I've always been competitive. And this quote from my dad from when I was young instilled a competitive attitude in me about not being average. You got to take advantage of whatever skills you have and do things that normal people don't do. And then you'll be able to live an extraordinary life.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where's the best place for people to find you online?
So with our new site, you can definitely find us at Live Rich and Prosper, liverichandprosper.com.
Perfect, man. Thanks again. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Tyler.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.